Are you seeing him, first of all?
No, I haven't planned to. I think that would be quite awkward, given that there is a general election going on. But I have to say it's a very important visit, because the future of NATO is genuinely at stake. You know, this is the organisation that has maintained peace and security now for 70 years, and there's a conflict, because the European Union are building their own European defence union. They want their own army, navy, air force, and we kind of can't have both. And so Britain's left in a very strange position here. Do we go down a European route for defence, or do we stick with NATO?
And I'm imagining what you will say on that. Can I just talk
Yes, absolutely. Look, I think sticking with NATO, sticking with the Five Eyes intelligence network, with Canada, Australia, New Zealand, I think that's a far better future.
So you're not going to be... Have you talked to him pre the visit, or will you talk to him?
No, I last spoke to him 8-9 weeks ago.
Right. You talk about, well, you know, he is not backwards in coming forwards and making his opinion known. Would it be inappropriate for him to make comment over the next 48 hours about the election?
Do you know, I think there's one thing he should say, and it's this. Jeremy Corbyn, the central plank, it would appear, of Labour's election campaign now, is to say that if the Conservatives or anybody else gets into Parliament, they're going to privatise the National Health Service and sell it off to the Americans. And he says it over and over and over.
We've been speaking to Dominic Raab this morning. He's saying that that is not the case.
I know. But so Trump finds himself at the middle of this, because he's being accused by the Labour Party of wanting to buy the National Health Service. It isn't true. I know it isn't true. And I think it would be wholly appropriate for Trump to say that.
Would it be appropriate that a US president starts commenting on influencing a UK election?
Well, do you know something? The European leaders comment on our politics every single day. You know, Donald Tusk, who has been one of the senior figures in Brussels, urging us to vote for Remainer parties. So
I imagine some people will be really concerned to hear that you would, you know, that sort of interference.
I'm not suggesting for one moment Donald Trump should endorse anybody. What I'm saying is, if the Labour Party are using as the central plank of their campaign the complete fib that the Americans in a trade deal would want to buy the National Health Service, it's wholly appropriate to comment on that.
And we do know that Jeremy Corbyn has written a letter asking for assurances about that today. Can we talk about your party, your new party,
absolutely.
The Brexit Party? So you were going to stand in 650 seats, now it's, what, 275, isn't it? Is that caving in?
Look, it's not. I remember this. When I founded the Brexit Party in February, Brexit appeared to be lost. A second referendum was coming down the track. Theresa May was in a pretty hapless Prime Minister. Within 6 weeks of founding the party, we won the European elections, got rid of Mrs May, got Boris Johnson in. Now, I wasn't happy at all with the deal that Boris did, and I said, on the basis of that deal, we would stand against everybody in every seat in the country. Since then, he has said, and I know talk is cheap, but he said, we will leave next year and we'll go for a Canada-style trade deal without being aligned with European rules. So what I've said is this. For us to stand against the sitting Conservatives, given that they're now at least saying similar things to us, would be a mistake, and we'll concentrate our firepower on the Labour Party.
So are you therefore, given what you've just said, struggling for relevance in this election then?
No, because I think that the other point is this. In the south and southwest of England, most of our support comes from Conservatives. And if we had stood in those seats, the Liberal Democrats would have won probably 24 seats. That would have brought a second referendum closer. So I think, in a sense, putting country before party was the right thing to do. What I can tell you is that in many of these Labour seats, it is now a 3, or in some cases, 4-way contest. And
it could be that you take away votes from the Conservatives in those seats. Therefore, you know, if you want the Conservatives to be in power, is that the right way to go about it?
Look, what I'm saying is this. Labour have broken all their promises and now want a second referendum. So clearly, I don't think anyone should vote for them if they're a Leave voter. If they're a Remain voter, that's fine, that's up to them. But here's the point. If the Conservatives go back into power without the Brexit Party there challenging them, there's a great danger the promises get broken, because they have been repeatedly over the last 3.5 years.
Can I just be clear then? So what do you say to the people who might say, well, a vote for you is a vote for the Conservative Party?
No, a vote for us is a vote to hold the Conservatives to their promises.
What does success look like for the Brexit Party? Can you put a number on it? Is it one MP?
As you rightly say, we're a brand new organisation, and fighting, and I learned this as leader of UKIP. I led UKIP with 4 million votes across the country to getting the lowest representation ever, 1 seat for 4 million votes. I think it's different this time because, as I say, a lot of these seats are now, three-way splits, and therefore, getting 31% of the vote in some of these seats means that somebody can win. Success is establishing a bridgehead in Westminster, and something that Boris Johnson will fear.
Can you put a number on it?
No, I can't. I've got a clue, and no one has.
I'm interested as well because it's a kind of conundrum here, isn't it? Because you said here right now that you're not a big fan of Boris Johnson's Brexit. No. So it's either his deal or Labour's, isn't it? And you're saying that your least worst option is Boris Johnson in power.
The least worst option is
that how you would put it?
At least he's talking about Brexit. Right. At least he's saying he will deliver Brexit. The thing is this: if we get the wrong Brexit, we'll finish up with years more agony. We'll finish up not actually being free of the institutions of the European Union. And what is absolutely clear to me is that we voted to leave, and that means leaving the institutions, leaving the authority of the European Court.
Can we go back to the kind of timings of all of this? Because you said you changed your opinion because of what Boris Johnson said. So, do you put more deadlines on him if he were to be leading?
Well, he's got deadlines because the 1st of July next year is the date by which, if we're going to extend yet again to go into 2021 or 2022, that has to be done by July the 1st. So either way, the Prime Minister does not have long, if he wins this election, which, let's be honest, looks likely, maybe not with a big majority, he's certainly going to be the biggest party. He's not going to have long to get this right.
Of course, nobody's gone to the polls as yet. So let's also talk about you, for example. I mean, we've seen you, leave politics, come back to politics, say, 1 week you're in UKIP. I mean, that is the case, isn't it?
Hang on, I was in UKIP 26 years.
Yeah, but you resigned and then went back, didn't you?
No. No. I was in UKIP for 26 years. Look, the one big mistake I've made is in 2016, when the leaders of our big parties said, we will respect the result of the referendum and what the people have said. I actually believed them. So I took a backward step from politics because I'd come into it to try and achieve this. And I thought, well, I've done it. There are other things in life I can now do. I've learned something from this. Never, ever, ever trust career politicians. They will always break their promises if they possibly can. And that's why I came back, set up the Brexit Party. And I think in the space of 6 or 8 months, we have reset the agenda.
Can I just also ask you, for example, if you didn't get an MP, do you resign then as leader, or what would you do?
Look, as I say, we're a brand new organisation. We're going to have some success next week. How much, I don't know. But I will tell you this. Whatever I do, I will go on in my life campaigning for reform and change of our political system. My view is that the political class in Westminster are utterly detached from the people of this country. And I think not just Brexit, I think our whole broken political system needs reform. You study politics. You are very passionate about it. Are you looking at it? What kind of detail are you looking at? Are you looking at marginal seats? Where is that what you're doing? No, I mean, look, there are quite a lot of seats in the north of England, for example, where there were big Leave votes, where they're represented by Remainer MPs. In those seats, the Labour vote's fallen sharply, the Brexit vote's risen, the Conservative vote's risen. These are going to be very tight contests in some of these seats.
Can I just also, you said your greatest mistake was to sort of...
Trusting politicians. I know, terrible of me.
What about other, because you sort of make a virtue, don't you, of standing up against being PC and all of the rest of it. Is there something, though, are there things that you've regretted, actually, do you know what, I shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have done that?
If any of us in our lives can ever say we don't ever regret anything we've ever done.
Go, give us an example.
We're not human beings,
You said one mistake already. Give us an example.
My biggest mistake is trusting people, as I say. Now, look, I've campaigned on subjects that nobody else wanted to talk about. Mass open door immigration, where net migration to Britain was running at 10 times the post-war average. And for daring to stand up and talk about that, you get called names, you get shouted down. But I've helped to make that mainstream. Even the Conservatives are now talking about the Australian-style point system, which I've sat on this sofa in years past and talked to you about.
So apart from that mistake, nothing you regret?
Not really.
Very interesting talking to you.
Thank you.
People will make up their own minds. As I said, we've spoken to various people on the sofa, but thanks for spending time with us this morning. And you've had a few near escapes with death as well, haven't you?
I really have. And I was reading in the obituaries this morning, a very famous surgeon, Jerry Gilmore, and he was famous for looking after Paul Gascoigne and various stars. And he removed a cancer from me back in 1987. So I'm going to remember Mr. Gilmore this morning and say, even if some in the Labour and Conservative Party don't like me, I'm pleased to be here.
Nigel Farage, thank you very much for your time here.
We will make America great again.